water down Jesus' message because it offends us. Let's look at John 6. With a large crowd following Jesus, did they have enough money to feed them all? After this, Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, that is, to Tiberias. A large crowd kept following him because they'd seen the signs that he was performing by healing the sick. But Jesus went up on a hillside and sat down there with his disciples. Now the Passover, the festival of the Jews, was near. When Jesus looked up and saw that a large crowd was coming toward him, he asked Philip, "Where can we buy bread for these people to eat?" Jesus said this to test him, because he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread isn't enough for each of them to have a little. What did Jesus instruct the disciples to do after finding a small amount of food? One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There's a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish, but what are they among so many?" And Jesus said, "Make the men sit down." Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, in number about 5,000. What other religious leader in history has performed such miracles? Jesus then took the loaves, and having given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated. Likewise also of the fish, as much as they wanted. And when they were filled, he said to his disciples, "Gather up the leftover pieces, so that nothing will be lost." So they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. Therefore, when the people saw the sign which he had done, they were saying, "This is truly the prophet who is come into the world." What other religious leader in history has walked on water? So Jesus, aware that they intended to come and take him by force to make him king, withdrew again to the mountain by himself, alone. Now when evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, and after getting into a boat, they started to cross the sea to Capernaum. It had already become dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. In addition, the sea began getting rough because a strong wind was blowing. Then when they'd rowed about 25 or 30 stadia, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and coming near the boat. And they were frightened. But he said to them, "It's I, don't be afraid." So they were willing to take him into the boat. And immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. Did many follow Jesus to the other side of the lake? The next day, the crowd that had stayed on the opposite shore of the lake realized that only one boat had been there, and that Jesus had not entered it with his disciples, but they'd gone away alone. Then some boats from Tiberias landed near the place where the people had eaten the bread after the Lord had given thanks. Once the crowd realized that neither Jesus nor his disciples were there, they got into the boats and went to Capernaum in search of Jesus. When they found him on the other side of the lake, they asked him, "Rabbi, when did you get here?" Did Jesus teach about a far more important kind of food? Jesus answered them and said, "Most assuredly I say to you, you seek me, not because you saw the signs, but because you ate of the loaves and were filled. Don't labor for the food which perishes, but for the food which endures to everlasting life, which the Son of Man will give you, because God the Father has set his seal on him." Then they said to him, "What shall we do that we may work the works of God?" Jesus answered and said to them, "This is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he sent." Did Jesus teach the crowd about the true bread from heaven? They answered, "Show us a miraculous sign. If you want us to believe in you, what can you do? After all, our ancestors ate manna while they journeyed through the wilderness. The scriptures say Moses gave them bread from heaven to eat." Jesus said, "I tell you the truth. Moses didn't give you bread from heaven. My Father did. And now he offers you the true bread from heaven. The true bread of God is the one who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. Sir, they said, give us that bread every day. Did people murmur because Jesus said, He's the bread which came down out of heaven? Jesus said to them, I'm the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will not be hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. But I told you that you've seen me, and yet you don't believe. All those whom the Father gives me will come to me. He who comes to me, I will in no way throw out, for I've come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. This is the will of my Father who sent me, that of all he's given me I should lose nothing, but should raise him up at the last day. This is the will of the one who sent me, that everyone who sees the Son and believes in him should have eternal life, and I'll raise him up at the last day. The Jews therefore murmured concerning him, because he said, I'm the bread which came down out of heaven. They said, Isn't this Jesus, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How then does he say, I've come down out of heaven? Did people debate among themselves about how Jesus could give them his flesh to eat? Jesus responded, Don't grumble among yourselves. No one can come to me unless they're drawn to me by the Father who sent me, and I'll raise them up at the last day. It's written in the prophets, and they'll all be taught by God. Everyone who's listened to the Father and learned from him comes to me. No one has seen the Father except the one who's from God. He's seen the Father. I assure you, whoever believes has eternal life. I am the bread of life. Your ancestors ate manna in the wilderness, and they died. This is the bread that comes down from heaven, so that whoever eats from it will never die. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever, and the bread that I will give for the life of the world is my flesh. Then the Jews debated among themselves, asking, How can this man give us his flesh to eat? Did many disciples tell Jesus this is too hard for anyone to understand? Jesus answered, I tell you for certain that you won't live unless you eat the flesh and drink the blood of the Son of Man. But if you do eat my flesh and drink my blood, you'll have eternal life, and I'll raise you to life on the last day. My flesh is the true food, and my blood is the true drink. If you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you're one with me, and I'm one with you. The living Father sent me, and I have life because of him. Now everyone who eats my flesh will live because of me. The bread that comes down from heaven isn't like what your ancestors ate. They died, but whoever eats this bread will live forever. Jesus was teaching in a synagogue in Capernaum when he said these things. Many of Jesus' disciples heard him and said, This is too hard for anyone to understand. Did Jesus ask if people were taking offense at his words? But Jesus, knowing in himself that his disciples were grumbling about this, said to them, Do you take offense at this? Then what if you were to see the Son of Man ascending to where he was before? It's the Spirit who gives life. The flesh is no help at all. The words that I've spoken to you are spirit and life. But there are some of you who don't believe. For Jesus knew from the beginning who those were who did not believe, and who it was who would betray him. And he said, This is why I told you that no one can come to me unless it's granted him by the Father. Will we also fall away because of Jesus? Who else has the words of eternal life? From that moment, many of his disciples turned back and no longer accompanied him. Therefore Jesus said to the 12, You don't want to go away too, do you? Simon Peter answered, Lord, who will we go to? You have the words of eternal life. We've come to believe and know that you're the Holy One of God. Jesus replied to them, Didn't I choose you, the 12? Yet one of you's the devil. He was referring to Judas, Simon Iscariot's son, one of the 12, because he was going to betray him. Do we water down Jesus' message because it offends us? You decide.